Welcome to part 2 of Competency 1. In this video, we will continue to work with properties of real numbers. Number 1, which expression is equivalent to x minus 3 times 4? Remember, parentheses implies multiplication. Okay, when I look at this, I see the distributive property. But it's the distributive property here with A moved just to the back behind the parentheses, which is combining the distributive property with the commutative property of multiplication. Well, that's all well and good, but they want us to find the equivalent expression. Well, that means which one would be the right process from what I'm seeing. Okay, so let's look at this. Option A, we can see that 4 was distributed to the x, but the 4 was not distributed to the 3. So that should be negative 12. So that's incorrect. And 2x, not sure how they obtained 2x. That's a mystery. So I would say that's like a wild answer. Okay, C. It's very obvious that they did not distribute the 4 to the x. So I would say no. Now let's look at D. This is a correct process. The 4 is distributed to the x, and the 4 is distributed to the negative 3, and they retained the negative appropriately. So yes, I would say that D is the correct option. Now there is a way to make sure you are correct. Okay. You could put the given, okay, what they gave you here, and option D in your table, and then just compare the first few answers. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so let's go to table, clear out everything you have in there, and I have parentheses, x, subtract the 3, and then put your 4, okay? Enter. Okay, let's start at 0 where they are, but we want to go by whole numbers. Okay, so step by whole numbers, and we don't want the ask, we want the auto. Okay, and push enter, and there you go. So we could just say 0, 1, 2, and I'm just going to jot them down. We should have negative 12 for 0, and then 1, we have negative 8, and negative 4. So then when we put in option D, we should get those same values of y for 0, 1, 2, 3 of our x, okay? So let's back out second mode and then go back to the table. Now clear it because you're going to type in a different form, the equivalent form. 4x subtract, and type it in the way they have it, 3 parentheses 4, okay? All right, enter. Okay, enter. Everything's set up the way we want. Our window's fine. Okay, there you go. And you have the same results for 0, 1, 2, 3. For your x values, same y values. So yes, that's correct. So that's just a little way to check with your calculator. You know, time saver. You don't have to do it all by hand. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Let's go up now. Okay. In this one, they're saying which property of numbers is illustrated by negative 5 plus 6 in parentheses plus 13. And then they're saying it's equal to. Okay, we have the same numbers. We can obviously see that the parentheses have simply been moved. So what are they saying? They're saying if I do this first, let's say if I calculate negative 5 plus 6 first and then add the 13, is it going to be equal? And yes, it is going to be equal to the situation of calculating 6 plus 13 and then subtracting off the 5. Okay. it's obviously addition. See here. So anything that says multiplication, mark that out. These are commutative and associative properties of multiplication. Now, you have a choice of the commutative or the associative. Well, it's addition, yes. But did they switch around the position of the integers? No, they did not. They simply said, do this one first or do this one first. Well, that's the associative. The associative property is just saying, hey, going to change the order that I calculate, not the order of the numbers themselves. Okay, so that means A is out. C is the correct property. Now notice, if we were given question where we had to check the calculations, like if it was embedded in the words, we would use our calculator. This is just a situation of, do you know what you're doing? Do you know your properties? Have you been studying? Okay. All right, let's go on to number 3. Which two properties of numbers are illustrated by the following sequences? Okay, so what do they give me first? Well, looks like we have 3 expressions, and the first one we see compared to the second one in the middle, that's associative. The numbers are in the same order. However, which ones that are choose to multiply first, that's going to change. So that's associative and it's multiplication. Okay. Now, if we compare the middle expression to the last expression, yes, we still have associativity, but within the parentheses, we have the commutative situation, which means the numbers switch places. Okay, and everything involved is multiplication. So that tells me option A, where it talks about the commutative law of addition, will not be an option. However, B, it talks about commutative and its multiplication, and then associative law of multiplication. So I like B. Let's look at C. Associative law of addition. No, there's no addition. And same thing for D. Yeah, they change the associative law to multiplication, but then they say, oh, commutative law of addition. There is no addition. Therefore, let's go back to the one that I really liked, which was B. Okay, and that option is verified. Now, a little note, your calculator isn't going to necessarily help you with all these. You have to know the properties and laws. Okay. All right, let's look at number 4. Evaluate the expression -4 times 6 plus 9 using the distributive property. What does this mean? It means instead of just popping it in the calculator or adding 6 plus 9, we're going to multiply -4 to each option and keep the plus. Okay? Well, let's look. It says which of the following illustrates the approach. Okay, well, A does not. They added the 2. Well, okay, maybe it'll give us the correct value in the end, but it's not the correct approach. Let's look at the next one. Well, they just switched the position of the 9 and the 6. That's commutative addition over addition. So no, that's a commutative property of addition. So B won't work. Let's look at C. Well, no, because they didn't multiply -4 times the 9. See that? They left 9 alone. So C won't work. However, D gives us the correct value. Now, if you're unsure about any of these, sometimes like look at C or B. Well, B, actually A and B will give you the same answer as the expression given to us in the problem. But if you try C, it won't give you the same value, so you'd automatically be able to eliminate C. Okay? So using your calculator would help you slightly. All right, let's go to number 5. Okay. Isabel multiplied 11 by 3, then multiplied the answer by 5. She decided to first multiply 3 by 5 to get 15. Then she multiplied 11 by 15 to get 165. Which one of the following conclusion is valid concerning the steps Isabel took to solve the problem? Okay, so basically what Isabel did was she tried it two different ways. Well, what were the ways she tried it? Well, first she multiplied 11 by the 3, okay? And we'll pretend like I can write with this pen. Then she multiplied all of that times the 5. But then they say, okay, wait a minute, Isabel changed her mind. Okay, which Isabel can do if she wants. Well, what happened was the 11 is hanging out here. But then first, what she did is she said 3 times the 5. Then she multiplied by the 11. Okay, now if we put the 11 here, I'm going to highlight this. If we take this 11 and we moved it over here to the other side, we could have the commutative property too. But that's really not the way they said it. They said 11 by 15. And that verifies what I have written on the right-hand side. So let's take a look at our options. A, her answer is wrong. Is, well, let's put all this in the calculator and double check. If what we have by what they're stating is the same, then we know, and they're saying, well, both sides have to be 165. All right, let's just do it because the numbers could get dicey and weird and longer. So let's go ahead and try this in our calculator with this simpler one, okay? So we have parentheses, and that's 11 times 3, close your parentheses, then times your 5. Push enter, 165, okay? But now let's do it differently. 11 times, and then your parentheses, and then 3 times the 5, close your parentheses, push enter, 165. Therefore, the answer is correct. So Isabel did her work correctly. So the two options A and C are marked out. Now, let's evaluate what she did. Did she use, or which operations did she use? Well, I see multiplication only, right? I see commutative property of multiplication for B, but let's look at D. D says her answer is correct and she used the associative property of multiplication. Yes, I see the multiplication. Which one did she use? We just talked, though, about, remember my highlighting I have there? The way that they wrote this right here, they kept it in that 11 by 15. That keeps it in the order that I wrote it, and therefore that's associative. Now, if they had said 15 by 11, yes, it would have been option B. Because of the way they wrote the problem, option B is out, and our final conclusion is option D. All right, this is the last question in this particular video. I hope that you keep watching as we add more videos. If you are also interested in the 7 to 12 TExES exam, we have all those videos posted, and they're free for you. Please enjoy them. And thank you for those of you who've already subscribed and liked us and share us. And please look out for the next videos. Happy testing, everyone.